4-week update. It's actually not 4 weeks right now. It's about 3.5 weeks, but I'm starting my video now because I wanted to update you all. You've all been so kind and supportive with my last video. I know that was a little bit emotional, and I am so happy to say that I finally found somebody that would be willing to drain my seromas. I ended up calling at least 10 different private practices in the state of Vermont that had nothing to do with abdominal surgery, and I ended up calling this private practice that specializes in oncology, breast reconstruction, and I explained to them my situation, and they so kindly offered to see me. And they do have some experience with seromas, but they are not the abdominal kind of seroma. But this wonderful doctor, she saw me and we kind of noodled through it because she had never done the abdominal seroma before. But of course, I had been consulting with Dr. Google and Dr. YouTube, so I had some sort of an idea of how to approach the abdominal seroma because she had started with me laying down. That's what she's used to with her patients, and she was having a hard time finding the seroma because when you lay down, your belly, it kind of spreads out and it's harder to find, and she was using her ultrasound to find it. But every seroma that I've seen that's been drained, the abdominal ones, they've been standing up. So I offered to stand up, and that helped the seroma really pool a little bit better. The problem that I think we had is that I had my compression on up until right before the appointment. So I think the compression actually still kind of had dispersed the fluid in my belly, and it hadn't all had a chance to pool back to where it would be easiest to suck out. And with this being her first time doing it in the abdomen, she wasn't super confident, and so she ended up sucking out about 40 cc's total, about 20 per side. And I could still see some of that rippling, but she just didn't feel confident. She didn't want to be poking around in there and trying to find it more, which is a little frustrating, but honestly, it's okay. I'm so happy that she was able to get something out, and I believe she will see me again if it comes back. I hope that she'll drain it again. And I spoke to my surgeon on the phone afterwards. He said that it would be fine if it comes back, I could have her drain it again. But if it comes back again after that, then that is evidence that my body is having a hard time reabsorbing on its own, and that I should really get drains put back in. Like the JP drain, which is the little bulb that I had with the tube inside of me that I had to manually drain. So we agreed that if I need, she will do it one more time. And then after that, if it keeps coming back, I will fly to Florida. And at that point, that's okay. That feels necessary to me. Right now, I felt like maybe if somebody just drained it out, that I could keep compressing and keep doing the massages and get it to flow on its own. So we'll see what happens, but I feel a lot better. I feel like I'm back on track, and we'll see what happens over the next week. I did take a quick video of part of her draining me. I will share it right now. So if you don't like seeing needles, and maybe just skip forward, I think it's less than a minute long, so just skip forward a minute and hopefully you'll get past it, and then you can keep watching if you want. After that, I will add in the video of my belly afterwards, so you can see that there's still a little bit of that seroma, but it's a lot better than it was. Okay, so she drained about 40 cc's from the two sides. It was about 20 each side. and she definitely did not get all of it. It was her first time actually doing an abdominal seroma. She's a breast reconstructive oncology surgeon, so she doesn't do the abdomen, but you can see like there's still some in there. She was a little nervous to try to do any more, but it's way better than it was. So you know what? I'm going to take that and I'm going to run with it. And you can see, there's still a little bit, but I'm feeling a lot better, and I'm hoping with a ton of compression, it will just reabsorb and it'll be okay. Okay, so now we are actually 4 weeks post-op. This is 4 days after the previous video that I just showed you. So it's been 4 days since I got my seromas drained. They are not completely gone, but they have not gotten any worse than how she left me, maybe like 5% worse, but really not bad. So mentally, emotionally, I'm feeling really optimistic, really hopeful. I have been compressing the living hell out of my stomach, which I will take a video and show you what I've been doing basically 24/7, about 23/7. I do take my faja off every night before bed, and I massage my belly. I do my own manual lymphatic massage, which at some point maybe I'll take a video and show you what I do. Definitely not what an actual lymphatic massage therapist does, but it's the best that I can do. I shower and then I put all of my stuff back on. So it's a really annoying process having to be so tightly bound for so long, but I'm actually kind of surprised that it's already been 4 weeks. I'm just feeling really good. And this actually brings me to a point that I wasn't fully thinking about in the moment last week when I made my 3-week video. Before surgery, I learned that not only is there a physical element of healing, but there is very commonly an emotional and mental side where pretty much everybody reaches the point where they say, what did I do? It's usually when they have some sort of a complication, and it's scary as hell. It's uncomfortable. It hurts, whatever it could be. I have a couple girls that had surgery the same week as me, and there has been necrotic tissue problems where their incision literally started to die and turned black, and it was terrifying for her. She had to do a lot of extra things to get that back on track. I've seen so many people with really scary wound issues where if they have allergic reaction to the stitches, and then basically their entire incision line just completely opens up, and it's really horrifying. They have to take the stitches out and do all sorts of other things. So I feel extremely fortunate with what my complication has been so far. But even so, when it comes to your body and not fully understanding what's going on, it can be really scary, really overwhelming. And that's what was happening for me last week. I did speak to my surgeon again after I got the seroma drained, and that was really helpful. He educated me a little bit better. I realized that the internet is a scary place, which I already knew, but it really was not helpful for me. I asked my surgeon if, worst case scenario, my seroma came back and I wasn't able to get it drained again and I didn't choose to go to Florida, what would happen? Because I really wanted to know the worst case scenario, because as far as what I was hearing, everybody was like, you need to get that drained, and it was a priority. But I was having a hard time understanding the reasoning why behind it. And so I think my mind was just going to the absolute worst case scenarios, which is what I had seen online, which is people that need to get surgery again on their abdomen, do a full-blown surgery, because what can actually happen is if the seroma doesn't drain on its own, what happens is eventually it creates this casing around it. So it's kind of like a water balloon. And you have that fluid inside of your belly, and then you have the balloon casing that it has created, and it will just never reabsorb because it's stuck in this balloon. And so I had seen a lot of instances where people had to go back under the knife, basically get a whole new tummy tuck so they could manually remove those fluid balloons. So that was what was freaking me out, thinking that that was pretty likely to happen if I didn't get these drained. But I have since learned that While that is definitely possible, I think it's a little bit less common than I thought, and I think there's pretty good hope for me. My surgeon said that most of the time, if God forbid it didn't fully go away, that seeing how my seroma is in my belly, it would mostly just be a little bit uncomfortable, not look the best, which is not an ideal outcome. But if that's my worst case scenario, I decided to look at my body objectively in the mirror and say, if this is what it would be like for the rest of my life, would I be happy with it? And yes, 150%, absolutely I would be. I've seen some seromas where it's like a golf ball inside of somebody's belly, and if that was the case, oh, that would be horrible. But for me, my seromas are in a pretty discreet place, and honestly, I think they're starting to go away. So anyway, long story short to say, it's been a long week, an emotional week. It's felt like my rock bottom, and you guys kind of saw a small glimpse of that. And I definitely have felt self-conscious showing that, but to be honest, the reason that I wanted to make these videos was to help people follow my journey and learn from what I'm doing, learn from my mistakes, so that if you have your own experience, you can play off of what I have learned and hopefully have a better, more peaceful, more positive outcome. As far as everything else goes, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm standing pretty straight most of the time. Every time I stand up from sitting, I have to readjust my whole body and kind of slowly stand myself up because it's still really tight, but it's a world of difference. My back doesn't hurt as much as the first few weeks. And that is also really helping with my mental state. But overall, like I said, I am light years better than last week. And I really appreciate everybody's support because that was a rough week for me. So I will update you all next week. And I will actually put a few photos now, my 4-week photos, I'll put some at the end of this video. So this is what I wear pretty much 24/7. So this is the faja. It goes all the way down shorts and it buttons all the way up. I'm too short for the buttons to go all the way up. And then I've got my front button bra just to have that support. Then underneath the faja, to add compression, I have all of these foams, which I put this one in the front just to do that extra front compression. And then you can see, there's my incisions. That's where my drain came out of. But this line is just from the foams. Let's see if I can, yeah, you can kind of see seroma still a little bit there. Right through there. But whatever, honestly, if that's the worst that's gonna happen with the seromas, then I'm okay with that. Still some swelling, but damn you guys.